5 Mysteries from Iowa. 1. The Villisca Axe Murders, 1912. The Villisca Axe Murders stand as one of Iowa's most infamous unsolved mysteries. On June 10, 1912, 8 people were brutally murdered in the Moore family home in Villisca, Iowa. The victims included Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 young girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, who were spending the night as guests. The massacre shook the small town to its core, as it was the first crime of such brutality in Villisca's history. Josiah Moore was a well-known businessman, and his family was considered prominent in the community. The crime was discovered the morning after, when a neighbor noticed that no one had emerged from the house. Upon entering, she discovered the bodies of all 8 victims. Each had been bludgeoned to death with Josiah's own axe, which was found at the scene. The murderer had covered the victims' faces with cloths, and mirrors and windows in the house were similarly covered. It appeared the killer had lingered in the home after the murders, as a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water were found in the kitchen. Facts: the lamp chimneys had been removed, filled with oil, and left under the kitchen table, suggesting the killer might have been preparing to set the house on fire. Lena Stillinger was found lying in an unusual position, suggesting that she may have woken up during the attack. Her nightgown was pushed up, and there was evidence that the murderer may have made an attempt at assaulting her. Theories: the Reverend George Kelly, a traveling minister with a history of mental illness, Kelly confessed to the murders in 1917 but later recanted. His behavior was erratic, and he had a fascination with the case, attending the funeral and returning to the crime scene multiple times. Despite 2 trials, he was acquitted. The business rival theory: some speculate that Frank Jones, a local state senator and prominent businessman, may have been involved. Josiah Moore had previously worked for Jones, but the two had a falling out, allegedly over a business dispute. However, there was no direct evidence linking Jones to the crime. Transient killer: this theory suggests that a transient killer, possibly associated with other axe murders in the Midwest around the same period, could be responsible. Similarities between the Villisca murders and other cases included the use of an axe, covered mirrors, and lingering at the scene. Lingering questions: why did the killer take the time to cover mirrors and windows, and why have these murders remained unsolved despite numerous investigations? 2. The disappearance of Johnny Gosch, 1982. On the morning of September 5, 1982, 12-year-old Johnny Gosch vanished while delivering newspapers in West Des Moines, Iowa. Witnesses reported seeing Johnny talking to a man in a car shortly before his disappearance, but no one saw him being taken. Despite extensive searches, no trace of Johnny was ever found. His case became one of the first instances where a missing child's photograph appeared on milk cartons, and it is often cited as one of the most haunting child abduction cases in the U.S. Johnny's mother, Noreen Gosch, took on a public campaign to find her son, raising awareness about child abductions and influencing changes in laws regarding missing children. However, as the years passed, the case grew colder, and Johnny's whereabouts remained a mystery. Facts: in 1997, Noreen Gosch claimed that Johnny visited her in the middle of the night, accompanied by an unidentified man. She claimed he told her he was alive but couldn't return home due to fear for his safety. Noreen passed a lie detector test about this encounter, but her story has faced skepticism. Paul Bernacchi, a man convicted of other crimes, confessed in 1991 to having helped abduct Johnny as part of a child trafficking ring, but there was little evidence to support his claims. Theories: human trafficking ring. One theory suggests Johnny was abducted by a sophisticated human trafficking organization. This theory gained traction when a former CIA operative, Ted Gunderson, claimed to have evidence that Johnny was taken by a child prostitution ring operating in the Midwest. Local perpetrator. Some believe Johnny's abduction was carried out by someone in his community, as he was familiar with his paper route and would have been recognizable. Government conspiracy. This theory, though far-fetched, posits that Johnny's abduction was part of a larger government plot tied to human trafficking, suggesting a level of involvement far beyond local law enforcement. Lingering questions: what happened to Johnny Gosch, and could his mother's story about his late-night visit be true? 3. The Van Meter Visitor, 1903. In the fall of 1903, residents of the small town of Van Meter, Iowa, were terrorized by sightings of a bizarre creature known as the Van Meter Visitor. The creature was described as a large, winged humanoid with a horn on its head that emitted a bright light. Over the course of several nights, the creature was spotted by multiple townspeople, including respected citizens like doctors, teachers, and business owners. One of the earliest sightings was reported by a local doctor named Dr. Alcott, who saw a strange light moving across the rooftops. He fired his gun at the creature, but it seemed unaffected. The creature returned night after night, terrorizing residents and leaving behind strange, three-toed tracks. Facts: the creature was seen entering an abandoned coal mine, which led many to believe it originated from underground. A posse of townspeople attempted to hunt the creature, firing repeatedly, but it remained unharmed. After several nights, the creature disappeared into the mine and was never seen again. Theories: undiscovered species. Some theorists believe the Van Meter Visitor was an undiscovered creature, possibly related to prehistoric birds or reptiles. Extraterrestrial being. The creature's glowing horn and resistance to bullets have led some to suggest it may have been an extraterrestrial visitor. Mass hysteria. Skeptics argue that the sightings were the result of mass hysteria or exaggerated storytelling among the townspeople. Lingering questions: what was the true nature of the Van Meter Visitor, and why did it choose this small Iowa town? 4. The Spirit Lake Massacre, 1857. The Spirit Lake Massacre took place in March 1857 near present-day Spirit Lake in northern Iowa. A band of Santee Sioux led by Inkpaduta attacked several frontier settlements, killing 35 to 40 settlers and capturing 4 women. The attack was one of the deadliest events between settlers and Native Americans in Iowa's history. The settlers were caught off guard by the brutal attack. Survivors described how the attackers moved swiftly from cabin to cabin, sparing no one. The 4 women who were captured endured months of hardship before being ransomed and returned. Facts: Abigail Gardner Sharp, one of the captives, later wrote a memoir about her experience, providing one of the few first-hand accounts of the massacre. Inkpaduta's motives remain debated, but some believe it was in retaliation for previous injustices committed against his tribe. Theories: revenge. The most widely accepted theory is that the massacre was an act of revenge for earlier wrongdoings by settlers, including the murder of Inkpaduta's brother. Resource scarcity. Some historians suggest the attack was motivated by competition for resources as settlers encroached on Sioux land. Lingering questions: was the Spirit Lake Massacre a planned act of retaliation, or was it a result of escalating tensions between settlers and the Sioux? 5. The death of Earl Thoreson, 1925. Earl Thoreson, a wealthy farmer from Forest City, Iowa, was found dead in his home on November 17, 1925. The circumstances surrounding his death were suspicious. Thoreson had been shot in the head, but there were no signs of forced entry or robbery. His death was initially ruled a suicide, but many believed he was murdered. Thoreson was known for his financial success and had a reputation as a hard-working, no-nonsense man. Despite the official ruling, rumors swirled that he had been involved in a love triangle, gambling debts, or even bootlegging during Prohibition. Facts: Earl's wife, who was the sole beneficiary of his life insurance, remarried shortly after his death, fueling suspicions about her involvement. The sheriff who investigated the case was known to have a close friendship with Thoreson's wife, raising questions about a potential cover-up. Theories: murder for profit. One theory suggests that Earl's wife orchestrated the murder to collect his life insurance money and start a new life with her lover. Bootlegging feud. Another theory posits that Earl may have been involved in illegal alcohol distribution, and his murder was the result of a business dispute. Lingering questions. Did Earl Thoreson take his own life, or was he silenced by someone who was out to gain from his death? Despite multiple theories and lingering suspicions, the mystery of Earl Thoreson's death remains unsolved to this day. Conclusion. Iowa's history is filled with chilling tales of mystery and tragedy, where questions often outnumber answers. These 5 stories reflect the state's enigmatic past and the human desire to understand the inexplicable. From eerie murders to bizarre encounters with unknown creatures, the Hawkeye State's mysteries continue to intrigue and baffle. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Iowa's unsolved mysteries, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more intriguing stories from across the country. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and stay curious.